Dawson Show at INBLV TV. And my name is Guy Dawson. I'm the managing member of Classy Communications. We are a full-service public relations and advertising company. And if you'd like to bring greater recognition to your business, your organization, or yourself personally, please get in contact with us at 702-845-6129 or visit our website, classycommunications.net. And we are really excited to be broadcasting from IBNLV TV. It's a up-and-coming emerging network that I think is going to be a tremendous platform for entrepreneurs and others in the community. Speaking of someone in the community, a good friend of mine from the Toastmaster community is Kiefer, and he is the principal of Bishop Gorman High School. For those of you who don't know what Bishop Gorman High School is, you must be from another planet. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks, Guy, for having me. I appreciate it.
And again, Kevin and I are friends in Toastmasters. What brought you to Toastmasters?
So in 2015, I decided that I wanted to check out Toastmasters, which was something I looked at in college but never really pursued. And I speak for my job a lot as a principal in front of small groups, 5, 10, 15, MC graduation in front of 5,000 people. And I said to myself, after my K-12 experience is done, is there a way I can give back to a community that's given me so much? And speaking and consulting came to mind, of being a conference presenter, working with teachers, training principals, helping educators become better at what they do and who they are, and speaking just seemed like the way to do that. The other benefit of Toastmasters for me when I was first looking at it was I wanted to meet and talk to people who were not in education, to gain more perspective, to gain insight, to meet others in the community. And to be honest, it's nice to talk to people who are older than the age of 14 to 15.
All right.
Because I deal with those all day long.
Yes, and I know that a lot of people, Kevin, are driven by that willingness or wanting to do something greater than what they're already doing. I mean, you are the principal of one of the most well-known high schools in America, and yet even though you are doing that, there's still things that you're obviously wanting to strive towards and grow, and I know you're quite a competitor in Toastmasters. What drove you to want to do that?
When I competed, I had seen the competitions for a couple of years and was ineligible to compete because I was in a district leadership position. So I said to myself, ooh, the first time I can compete, I really want to try this. And I had seen some of my friends and mentors compete, and I remember the first time I went to a district competition and watched the international contest. 10 great speeches, and I was sitting in my chair just kind of blown away by the quality of the speeches, the messages, the impact the people were having just on the audience in the room. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, what kind of impact might this have if it was done professionally or full-time? And then I saw the other contests, the humorous and the tall tales, and it just looked like fun. So when I first had the chance to compete, I said, I'm going to try this out. I want to do both contests. I want to enter the humorous contest, and I want to do the evaluation contest. I competed in my club, went all the way to district, and came home with 2 trophies, which was just unbelievable. And what a thrill and what a high that was for me as a competitor and as a speaker, and it was really fun.
Yeah, you were absolutely on fire that day. I was there for the competition, and Kevin he nailed it. You know, there's certain days in life that are just like that. Mm-hmm. I think you were. It was one of those days where you were just in the zone.
Yeah. I think I had really great preparation, and some of the advice I got from some of my mentors was, at the conference there, you're there to compete as a competitor. You might want to enjoy some of the educational sessions, you might not. But think of it as you would train for any other contest, whether it's for athletics, for fine arts, for other competitions. You're there to compete, so take the steps necessary to compete. So I really took care of myself that day. I slept in, I made sure I ate when I needed to eat, hydrated, was really focused on the contest, was visualizing success, was prepared. And then it was one of those days where I felt I was performing very well. I remember in the humorous contest, and sometimes Toastmasters give you this advice, don't change anything on the day of the competition. I changed something in my speech 2 hours before I delivered it, and in the middle of the speech, I also had 2 lines that I had never used before, but because I really felt good and I was feeling the audience, I added a couple lines that drew big laughs. So it was one of those days where I felt it was really a great day.
You know, Toastmasters is a great organization for anyone out there who wants to improve their communication and leadership skills. But you have a day job that is also pretty impactful. You are the principal of Bishop Gorman High School here in Las Vegas. How long have you been a principal?
So this is my 7th year as principal of Bishop Gorman, my 10th year as a principal, 13th in administration, and 19th in Catholic education. And I've worked in 4 different Catholic high schools in 4 different states and 4 different time zones in my career. So I have nationally networked as a Catholic school educator and absolutely love my job and love my vocation. It's a chance to help young people grow in academics, in faith, in character, in leadership, in sports, in fine arts. We really value the whole person. There's a huge initiative for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We in the Catholic schools call it STREAM. We add the R for religion and A for arts because we really are focused on forming the whole person and keeping all of those options open to our students. Because all of them have talents, all of them have unique gifts and skills. And to quote or paraphrase the old Robin Williams, Dead Poet Society, math and engineering and sciences are noble professions, but it's a lot of times the arts and the poetry and the humanities that give us life. And we want to make sure our students have access to all of those opportunities.
I had the opportunity to visit Bishop Gorman High School, I guess it was about a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago, and what I really enjoyed about our tour was that you really did let me see another side to what Bishop Gorman is all about. Like I was telling you, I remember when it was over on Maryland Parkway, and it was not in the luxurious environment that it is in today, but the tour that you took me on really gave me a behind-the-scenes look at what Bishop Gorman is all about. Of course, everyone knows Bishop Gorman about sports. We'll talk about that later, but there's so much more there that I saw from that tour.
Most people who know Bishop Gorman, especially outside of Las Vegas, they do know us for our sports programs. But if you go to the mission statement of Bishop Gorman, which is to teach the gospel of Jesus Christ, to prepare students for college and create a community where service is valued and celebrated, you start to see that when you come on campus and you see the tour. Whether it's looking around the campus at the art, architecture, environment, the values, you see the Catholic identity, you see the faith, you see the specific spiritual mission of the school. Secondly, we have over a 96% matriculation rate into colleges with a virtual 100% graduation rate from our students. So from day one, college is a focus for our students and for our parents, and we want to make sure our students are prepared. It gives me pride as a principal every year. I've got a student who comes back and says something like, "Hey, Mr. Kiefer, I really didn't quite appreciate all this hard work we had to go through in high school, but now I can really write a great essay, and some of my classmates and peers are struggling with that." So they feel, in hindsight, that they really got a great education and preparation at Bishop Gorman. And, a lot of schools, they may have a community service component, but we take a lot of pride in the fact that we teach our students to give back to the community. We teach them to go out and do Christian service. And we really teach our students to try to engage in service that impacts humans. That's nothing to say that we might not do something environmental or with pets, but we really want to reach out to other people and have that heart-to-heart and face-to-face connection. So our students are required to do 100 hours of Christian service before they graduate, approximately 25 hours each year. So we're dealing with 70,000 hours of community service on an annual basis, essentially. We're trying to help the kids give back to Las Vegas and to the community. When you think about that, you've got this great mission, this great formation, and the kids have access to fine arts. Our theater program, they're about to do Little Shop of Horrors, fantastic musical. Our students compete in mock trial, varsity quiz, other academic contests. There's so much to be involved in that's more than what people may just see on the surface if they only see Bishop Gorman for sports.
And then another point that you brought up to me as we were walking around the school, and of course you're in an environment of definitely spirituality and faith, and obviously people who attend that school, one of the elements that brings them there is their ability to be able to practice their faith openly as a part of their educational process.
I think it's of paramount importance that students are able to express questions about faith and express their faith. What we were talking about the other day which was really profound for me, was after the Route 91 shooting, which occurred at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. by Monday morning I was alerted and aware to it, and we had a response that was similar to other schools in the fact that we had a crisis response team, we had counselors, we had folks available for the students or teachers. But what's different maybe about Bishop Gorman and other faith-based schools from any other school was I and our campus ministry team, we ran the chapel, the school's chapel, and we opened it up and were there all day for students who may have wanted to pray or to come and write an intercession on a little piece of paper and staple it up to a wall or a cross so that they could spiritually engage in grief and loss and healing as well. And it's something that's very powerful because the students have a lot of questions. There's a lot of challenges out in the world. Some of those can only really be answered through matters of faith, matters of philosophy, matters of things that are really metaphysical conversations. And I think it's such a great opportunity for them in high school to have this avenue to express themselves and to be a part of a faith community.
I'm speaking with my good friend Kevin Kiefer. He is the principal of Bishop Gorman High School. It is an internationally famous school if you really think about it. And we're going to take a short commercial break to honor our sponsors and be back with more of the Guy Dawson Show at INBLV TV. Welcome back to the Guy Dawson Show at INBLV TV, and I have been speaking with my good friend Kevin Kiefer. He is the principal of Bishop Gorman High School, which is known worldwide for its athletics as well as its academics. And there was something that you touched on, Kevin, when we were out there on our tour, was that basically Bishop Gorman has a world-class theater department as well.
We do. Our theater department just does a phenomenal job with plays and musicals. Our director got her Actors Equity card at a young age and has some Broadway and traveling credits. And then when she decided she wanted to have a family, became more stationary, she worked at another school and then came to Bishop Gorman. And you talk about someone who was just on fire for theater and for the arts. This is a teacher who will... We have 6 classes a day, so teachers don't teach 5. She has like 7 to 8 sections, sometimes within the same class, to help students meet their fine arts and theatrical needs. So it's really neat. This year we're doing Little Shop of Horrors is our spring musical, but I've seen us do Oklahoma. I've seen us do all sorts of really great, fantastic musicals. And to see some of these kids, it wasn't like this, or it didn't seem like it when I was in high school. Every kid on the stage sounds like a professional Broadway musician, operatic quality voices. These kids are so talented today with their music and their dancing, their acting. It's just enjoyable to watch. This past fall, our theater director, her name's Elena Ferrante Martin, she had a concept which was, instead of doing a fall play, she wanted to do a dance type event. And so what she came up with for a concept was The Wizard of Oz told exclusively through dance. And so, for example, Dorothy was ballet and was on point. And then the Tin Man, his medal was tap. And the Scarecrow did a different type of dance. The Lion did martial arts as a base type of dance. And there was not one word uttered through the entire 1-hour production. But there was music from The Wizard of Oz, some screens on the back that would give you clues to the story. And to watch these kids tell the story of The Wizard of Oz through dance alone. I mean, what a brilliant creative concept. And exposing the kids to dance and a story that most people know and a way to share it through art. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
And when you visit a campus like Bishop Gorman, as you were taking me through the theater, I mean, just state-of-the-art theater, and then you even have a black box there, which I know about. Over at UNLV they have one, but what an environment to grow as a performer.
Yeah, absolutely. Our students who, we have a summer camp for, I believe it's rising 4th through 8th graders, a summer musical theater camp for 2 weeks. So you might have students who are coming even as younger students to practice, to get on that stage, to see what it's like. And they'll work with our students in the summer to learn basic acting and singing and dancing. At the end of that camp, they have their performance. And then when they want to come to Bishop Gorman, they may already be excited and ready to take either the formal class, to do the co-curriculars. And we've had performances in the black box where we're sitting around and, kind of in the round, and the actors come in and start interacting with the audience, and then it breaks into a play, which is like, wait, what just happened? This was exciting. And where they get on the big stage. The other thing that's been really exciting with our theater program is we really had a resurgence in our instrumental music program to see our program grow from a small number of students to a larger number of students, where this past December at our instrumental music concert, our students are essentially playing the Carol of the Bells from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra version. Like, wait, these are high school kids playing this. And we went from this size to this size. We went from maybe 4-string players to 30-string players. We went from a small band to now getting close to 60. And they're making fantastic music. They're developing their musicianship and their showmanship. So the arts were really important, and we're really getting students to get involved in that and enjoy that process.
Yeah, and when you visit Bishop Gorman High School, you're thinking, unless you went to a school like that, which I did not when I went to high schools have come a long way. I mean, the environment, the opulence, and the serenity, that's something that really kind of stood out for me, was walking around the campus. And of course it's beautiful, the location is wonderful, and I mean, it's a great place to get education, but there is this serenity that you can just sense as you're walking around the campus. I'm sure it's not like that out on the football field when everybody's knocking each other down, but I was very impressed with the environment, just the feel of the school.
Mm-hmm. I think when this particular building was built, which was before I got here, the architects, the designers, the benefactors wanted to take the tradition and spirit of the Maryland Parkway campus and modernize it, bring it to the 21st century. And there was a lot of intentional planning of the site to make it something very warm, very inviting, something where the students, they want to come to school, whether it's the color schemes throughout the entire building, which are very much blue and orange, to some of the natural lighting in the hallways, to just the way we treat it. One of my colleagues, my president, says, it looks like we just moved in, although we've been there almost 10 years. And I think that's a tribute to the students who take care of their campus, and the teachers who make sure we're taking care of it, great facilities, maintenance staff, and landscaping, that we want this to be a place of beauty and education and excitement where people want to come and they want to be. And when you walk on that campus, I think you can feel something different. Like you said, there's a sense of peace, serenity, purpose, and mission behind it.
Absolutely. So we couldn't have an interview about Bishop Gorman without talking about the phenomenal sports program that you have, and you as the principal. What's it like being a part of this juggernaut? I mean, every sport, it seems, Bishop Gorman excels at. You've got a lot of exposure, both here in Las Vegas as well as nationally. And how do you manage that as the leader of the school?
I think, first of all, it's not one person. There's a lot of team effort. And we've got really great athletic directors, coaches who are helping to mold these young men and women, both in terms of their athletic ability, but also their character and their leadership. I grew up in the state of Texas, so I understand what Friday Night Lights means.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was in high school, I did journalism and got a little press pass and went and covered sports events and understand how exciting it can be. But as a teacher and as a principal, I discovered that there are so many lessons that our students can learn through sports that they may not pick up in the same way in the classroom. And if you talk to a number of athletes as they go out into life and college and beyond, if you ask them, who was your favorite teacher or coach, a number of them will come back and say it was Coach so-and-so because Coach so-and-so compelled me to work harder, pushed me beyond where I thought it could be, really taught me the meaning of teamwork and what it means to function as one unit. So I think there's a lot of educational component in sports that sometimes we overlook, that sports in a high school are meant to be an extension of the classroom. And I think that's one aspect or one way to look at how you approach it. And it helps, I think, that I love sports as a principal. I think it's reassuring to our coaches and to our athletes that I may not be able to make everything, but I try and show up as many games and sports as I can, get passionate, get excited, understand how hard they work. And let me tell you, our students work hard. They work very hard to train in season, off season, and when we were in high school, I don't think you had quite the understanding of strength and conditioning that we do now. And these kids, they train, they are lifting weights, they're running, they're stretching, they're doing plyometrics, they're doing a lot of things to really make themselves the best they can be individually so they can contribute to their team performances.
And what is it like dealing with the amount of notoriety that you have as the principal? I know that, like you said, there's other people who are involved in leading that aspect of the school, but there's a lot of expectations, I would imagine, on beyond just the academics for these students. And it was a good point that you made about the athletics being an extension of their overall training and leadership. I think that's great, but the scrutiny, how do you manage that as a school?
I sometimes think it's just something that comes with a job at Bishop Gorman. There are other high schools and colleges that you deal with it, and it becomes part of life. I don't worry about the success of our sports teams as much as I worry about, are we developing young men and women of character, specifically at a Catholic school, who understand what it means to be a disciple. Those are the most important values. Now, as our athletic director would say, at some point in time, if you're not performing, maybe you have to make a change in a coach or personnel, because the purpose of sports still is you want to compete and win, and we would have that expectation. I think a lot of times you've got folks who understand that Bishop Gorman has a culture of excellence, a tradition of excellence, and we want to win. So to a certain extent, those expectations almost manage themselves by the culture that we've created, that we want to be excellent, we want to compete. Sure, we want to win championships and compete at the highest levels, but there's something even more than that. And I think the students start to understand that. Our students who have gone off to college and they come back, I think they've really learned those lessons. And they share with us how Bishop Gorman formed them to be successful NCAA athletes, NFL athletes, NBA athletes, and they still come back. In fact, even recently, one of our more recent graduates who's playing in the NBA was back this past weekend during the NBA All-Star break, and what did he do? He came to see our team play. So he has that strong connection to the school, strong connection with that family.
Another thing we talked about during the tour was the fact that when you're running a high school, you are running a business to an extent. And that basically what they've created at Bishop Gorman, from my perspective, is a great product in the way that the school is arranged. And I know that you don't typically look at a school as being an actual product, but the way that it's marketed, every aspect of it, I think, makes it very marketable to someone from a business perspective. And like you said, there was a lot of forethought that was put into that before it was even built.
Yeah. I remember going through principal training school, and we take the courses, you take educational law, and you take human resources, but you do take marketing. And what I'm about to say applies certainly to almost any private school, Catholic schools included, and that's, we are a school first. We have a mission. We're Catholic. We're unapologetic about it. We want that to be there. But as I shared with you the other day, there was this wise sister of St. Joseph who said to me one time, "Kevin, no margin, no mission." And I thought that was,
that's
only a nun could have that level of wisdom to share with me. And it was true, though, to the extent that in days gone by, Catholic schools were largely funded through parish contributions, staffed by religious brothers, sisters, and priests who drew very little on salary. Now we have essentially a 100% lay staff. We have to be competitive in the marketplace to pay our employees just wages, competitive salaries. We have to attract students to come to Bishop Gorman because they can go to other places for free. They have options in the educational marketplace. And so we want to share our story with the community. The cynical side of someone would say, "Oh, well, that's marketing and it compromises mission." I say, well, no. It's not cynical to say you have to market. It's an opportunity to share your story. It's an opportunity to share with the community why Bishop Gorman will be a great choice to a parent or child, or to the child, why you want to be here because of all the benefits you're going to get, the excitement you're going to get, the doors that can be open to you when you have a great high school education, going to college or right into the workforce where applicable. That's not cynical. That's fantastic. I love to tell people about Bishop Gorman. Love to share what we're doing. And when more people know about it, they're really excited. I have yet to meet anyone who's kind of been a Bishop Gorman skeptic, who if I can get into a conversation with them or show them the campus, that their heart's not turned to say, there's something really good going on here. And maybe I want to be a part of that, or maybe I want my nephew or niece to be a part of that. It's an exciting thing to do.
And when do kids start getting ready to go to Bishop Gorman? I mean, probably at elementary school, maybe. They've already figured out that this is where they want to go.
We have a campus store, and I remember when I first came to Bishop Gorman, seeing the little baby onesies for Bishop Gorman, and I thought, oh, that's maybe marketing to the 2-year-old is a little young, but maybe not. The research out there says that kids are starting to make high school decisions beginning in 5th and 6th grade, which may be surprising to folks. But we try to involve students, certainly through our Catholic elementary schools and some of our partner schools, bringing the students to campus in the middle school years, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, so they can get a feel for Bishop Gorman, try to get excited about that. Every year in November, we have a campus-wide open house, which is open to pretty much anybody. It's targeted to students who may come here, but we've had sometimes community members come by to see the school, get a tour from the students, so they don't have to hear it from the principal, they can hear it from someone who's actually going through the school. It's younger than you think that students are thinking about high school. It's 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, and they're thinking about academics, and they're thinking about sports, and they're thinking about arts, but maybe most importantly, sometimes they're thinking about where their friends are going, because that's an important factor. They may want to go where their friends are going, or maybe they want to find new friends in high school. A lot of different factors going into the high school decision-making process.
Mm-hmm. And kids are kids. When you walk on the campus and you're there visiting at Bishop Gorman High School, I mean, that's where you see it really isn't any different than it was all the years ago when I was in high school or any other. I have a son who's a senior in high school. It doesn't matter if I'm on his campus or on the campus of Bishop Gorman. Kids, they act the same. You can just see it, and they're...
We have the same kids that everyone else has. They are full of hopes and dreams. They have moments of brilliance and moments of awkwardness. There are times that the aptly named sophomore, the wise fool, comes full circle out in public. They're kids, and they're looking for growth. They're looking for guidance. And sometimes they don't realize it until maybe many years after their experience. But I have yet to meet anyone who's really gone to Bishop Gorman who had a terrible experience. They come back and look on that with fondness, and they remember their teachers, they remember their coaches, they remember their peers, they remember that environment. But you're right, I mean, kids are kids. There's not really a whole lot of difference.
And the theme of the speech that you presented in Toastmasters really fits in with what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Teenagers have no filter.
Teenagers have no filter. The story I told, or the anchor for my humor story, were sort of anecdotes I've collected from my students over the years. I taught theology, I taught math for a number of years, and as you might imagine, there are more funny things said in a theology class than there are in a math class. And it was an opportunity just to kind of go back and, for me, relive some of these experiences as I've delivered these speeches of, you look at a student and you say something, you think they understand, and they come back with an answer that's like, what just happened? Well, that was radically inappropriate or completely funny. Even one that happened recently this year that I incorporated into my speech, where we were talking about the meaning of the word love, and that in the English language, well, I love my dog, and I love ice cream, and I love my wife, and I love my friend, and they all kind of are interchangeable, but they have different meanings. And I had a student in class, we were talking about love, and I said, well, can you have different types of love? And I say, well, I love my dog, and I love my wife, and we're talking about it. And then we get into this question about miracles, and I asked the student, can you give me a definition of miracle? And he says, that which cannot be explained by science. I said, okay, that's a good starting definition, but maybe there are some things that we know that maybe aren't miracles that aren't explained by science either. And I said, well, for example, how about this statement? My wife loves me. And without missing a beat, he looks up and says, it's a miracle. And the whole class loses it. And they're kind of laughing at first. They're like, oh, wait, is Mr. Kiefer offended? No, I'm laughing too. So just kind of funny things that happen in class. And that was the anchor point for the speech. And it really developed, and it was a lot of fun.
And it really was. And you talk about going back to high school. I mean, to listen to Kevin and go through this speech and the way that he presented himself, basically from the perspective of a teenager, it just makes you, we're all just really big teenagers in a lot of ways, but the rawness and the realness of kids, I just really enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that speech that he gave brought it out, and I'm so thrilled to have had the opportunity to finally interview you.
Thank you.
And please, will you share with the audience more information about Bishop Gorman High School? How can they learn more about it or come by for a visit?
Sure, absolutely. One of the best ways to learn more about Bishop Gorman is to go to our school's website, www.bishopgorman.org. We launched a brand new version of our website this past fall, so it should be a lot cleaner and clearer for folks to see. There's information about the school, information about admissions, the application process. For those that might be considering coming to Bishop Gorman with students, we do offer shadow days through our admissions department where your student, your son or daughter, can come to the school and have a student that they would follow around campus all day, kind of get the Bishop Gorman experience. And for the parents, there's an opportunity to meet with our admissions director. Again, that open house that we have annually is typically in November, which, although we market a lot of that to our potential families, we have had some members of the community stop by just to tour the campus and see who we are and what we're about, and we're happy to answer those questions.
Yeah, thank you again, Kevin, for stopping by, and thank all of you for watching this week's edition of The Guy Dawson Show. Please remember to visit Classic Communications website at classiccommunications.net. Also follow The Guy Dawson Show on Facebook, and you can follow Classic Communications on Instagram and Twitter, and watch The Guy Dawson Show on YouTube. Have a wonderful week.